Welcome to the 4.2 notes,
Yeah!
events, and sample spaces, and relationships. We have here sample spaces and events. A sample space is the collection of all possible outcomes for an experiment. An event is a collection of outcomes for the experiment. This is a subset of the sample space. We have here a diagram of all possible outcomes for drawing a card from a deck of 52. We have, this is called the sample space for our deck of cards. There's many different events that can be associated with this card selection experiment. List the outcomes constituting each of the events below. Event 1, Jade. King of Hearts. We got the King of Hearts. We're just going to draw a little king with a heart next to it. As you draw the heart, you can just think of what you're thankful for today. Lots to be thankful for. The event that the card selected is a king. We got 4 kings, right? So we'll write those out. King of spades, King of hearts, King of clubs, and the King of diamonds. Yeah, it's kind of like a clover. Next, the event that the card selected is a heart. The event the card selected is a heart. So we list out each one of these possible outcomes for that event, starting with the ace of hearts, 2 of hearts. We can think of lots of things we're thankful for today. 4 of hearts. What are you thankful for today, Alia?
Feeling better mentally.
Good. What's something you're thankful for today, Bryce? Waking up this morning. It's good to be thankful
car.
for the basics.
Oh yeah, my car.
You got a nice car.
I actually have heat in my car.
Yes.
You got a free.
Today you needed that heat. Okay. D, the event the card selected is a face card. How many face cards do we have? There's 12 of them. 3 for each suit. I'm just going to circle them and draw an arrow because I think by now you get the idea of listing the possible outcomes for given events. We have notation and graphical displays of events. For the notation, we use capital letters. So we can actually, to represent events, we can just use the capital letter A to represent the event the card selected is the King of Hearts. Right? So going back to our previous example, event A is the event the card selected is the King of Hearts. B is the event the card selected is a king. Right? We listed those outcomes. C is the event the card selected is a heart, and so on. It simplifies things when you just have a capital letter versus all of these words to fit within our notation for probability that's coming. Next slide. Any history buffs in the room? Any history fans?
I love history.
Awesome. Will you read that for us about John Venn, please?
Venn diagram, named after English logician John Venn, are one of the best ways to portray events and relationships among events visually. The sample space is depicted as a rectangle, and the various events are drawn as this, or other geometric shapes. Inside the rectangle, in the simplest case, only one event is displayed as shown in figure 4A, with the colored portion representing the event.
Let's give it up for Bryce. Well done. Nice reading. So there's John Venn. He came up with the Venn diagram over 100 years ago. We're going to use that to help us with the relationships between these events. The first relationship we're talking about is the complement. Will you read that one for us, please, Mendez?
Each event E has a corresponding event defined by conditions that E does not occur. The event is called the blank of E, denoted, not E. The event consists of all outcomes of not E. As shown in the Venn diagram in figure A.
Thank you. So in the blank goes complement, and that's represented by just the notation in parentheses, not E, or whatever capital letter references your event that you're describing. So the example here, the E would be the event the card chosen is red. So the complement of that would be the event the card chosen is not red. It's that simple. So it's just talking about complements in terms of the Venn diagrams. Visually, that's what it looks like. Will you read for us next about the and, Ganesh?
With any two events, say A and B, we can associate two new events. One new event is defined by the condition that both event A and event B occur, and is denoted A and B. Event A and B consists of all outcomes common to both event A and event B, as illustrated in figure 4.9b.
All right, give it up for Bryce. Well done.
Miss Powers.
I said Ganesh. Give it up for Ganesh. Well done. Birthday boy. Well done. Well done. We have the overlap image here of who's doing my editing here?
No, please leave this.
Lastly, or will you read for us, please, Grayson?
The other new event associated with A and B is defined by the condition that either event A or event B or both occur, or equivalently that at least one of the events A and B occurs. That event is denoted A or B and consists of all outcomes in either event A or event B or both, as figure 4.9 shows.
Give it up for Grayson. The Venn diagram, just a reminder, as we talked about in our initial example, if we had triangles, we had small shapes, all of them are included. If event A was that you're a triangle, B was that you're a small shape. Include everything in there when it's or. Here's an example, similar to what you'll see on your assignment tonight. When the die is rolled, the following 6 outcomes are possible. They're labeled there for you. And then we have these events defined. This is where we're referencing, right here, for each one of these questions. What outcomes constitute event A? Event A is what, Jade? Yep, the event that I comes up odd, and what outcomes constitute event A? Anyone?
Isn't it 1/2? That's the-
That would be the probability, but we're just listing the outcomes 1, 3, and 5. That's why I put it on here. It's just that we're starting at a basic level here. What outcomes constitute event B? B says the event the die comes up 3 or more. So what would be the possible outcomes for that? You got it, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then C? At most 3, so what would that be?
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, and 3, good. And event D, event the die comes up 1. 1.
I don't
All
know
right.
why I thought that meant like how many dice,
Yeah, because I was kind of
because I was just gonna say 4, like for
How many there are?
for B, yeah.
Yep, we're listing all the possible outcomes. A little different than that. We'll get to that though. Example 3, when the die is rolled, same idea, but now we're talking about the complement, the and the or. So we're talking about what outcomes constitute event not A. A being event the die comes up odd. 2, 4, 6. Good.
Why does it say not A?
Because that's what we're looking for. It's just telling us what outcome are we looking for. We're looking for the outcome that is not A. Remember we called that the complement on the previous page? And then we've got the and symbol here. What outcomes constitute event A and B? Here I'm going to draw my Venn diagram.
2.
A and B. A is the event the die comes up odd. B is the event the die comes up 4 or more. So A and B. Odd would be 1, 3, 5. But one of those is going to be also 4 or more, right? So it'll be in here. The 5 will be in that overlap. 4 or more would also include 4 and 6. There's only one number that comes up that's not already written down. That's the number 2. It's neither an event A nor an event B. So we have what outcomes constitute events A and B. That's just the overlap right here. That's the number 5. Lastly, the or, the B or the C. B says 4 or more. C says at most 2. Do these have any overlap? In a Venn diagram, do the circles have any overlap?
Yeah, right.
So 4 or more would be all these guys right here, right? At most 2 would be these two right here. There's no overlap in those. So we're going to say 2 circles here that are mutually exclusive. When there is no overlap. 4 or more is going to be my 4, 5, and 6. At most 2 would just be 1 and 2. 3 is the only one not included in either one of those circles. Remember, or is the all-inclusive. So we get to include anything that's in either one of the circles. So we're going to include 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 are an event B or C. Questions so far?
Yeah, just to make sure, so like, if they did overlap and for the or,
Mm-hmm.
you would just put it once, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just-
Good question.
So the top is or is the bottom or?
Well, it's question C says or.
Okay.
So that's more of what we have to go with. The following frequency distribution provides a certain condition prevalence frequency distribution for 62 regions. So you have here all these different regions. There's some certain condition happening where there's these different percentages that condition is occurring. So there are 9 regions that have this condition between 4 to under 5%. So the total of all these regions, they told us, was 62. Determine the number of outcomes that constitute the event not C. Let's look what event C says. Event C says that the prevalence is at least 5% but less than 10%. At least 5 but less than 10. So I'm going to use different colors for these different outcomes. At least 5 would be this guy right here, 5 to under 6. But then it says less than 10, that would be the 9 to under 10 here. And everything in between. So this right here represents event C. everything in here is in event C. We could add up all those outcomes, but we want event not C. So an easier way to do that would just be to add up the 9 and the 1. They're not included in event C. So that's going to be a total of 10 outcomes that are not in event C. The next question says, determine the number of regions that constitute the event A and B. A, the event that has a prevalence of at least 8. So that's going to be 8 all the way up. That's A. And then B says the event that has a prevalence of less than 7. 6 to under 7. So that'd be all of these would be event B. Do those two have any overlap? They don't. So the number of outcomes that's in that event A and B would be 0. Next one. Determine the number of outcomes that constitute C or D. Well, we've got everything else labeled besides D. So D says the event that has a prevalence of less than 9. So not 9, but less than 9. That's this one right here. It starts with this 6. 6 are to 8 to under 9. So that's going to be event D. Or, right? How many outcomes are in C or D? Basically everything except for this little guy here, 10 to under 11, right? There's only one. So we just do 62 minus the 1. Right? So we get 61 outcomes are in C or D. If I add up all of these, 9 plus 13 plus 16 plus 13 plus 6 plus 4, I'm going to get 61. The easier way to do it would just be to subtract the 1 from the total. Last one, determine the number of outcomes that constitute the event C and B. Okay, C and B, remember that's just the overlap. I have B is here in pink, C is here in gray. The overlap looks like it would just be this section here. So 13 plus 16 is 29. Questions so far? Great. Last one. Here we have the finals of a certain sport are decided by the first team to win 4 games. Thus, it takes at least 4 games and no more than 7 games to establish a winner. Anybody, does sport come to mind? Basketball? Anything else?
That's the only thing they do basketball.
I think baseball does that too with the World Series.
I thought it was more than 4 games, or more than 7 games.
It could be, how many do they do? Okay, I know it's basketball. So that's the setup we have here. The frequencies and the number of games required to reach a conclusion are given in the accompanying table. The events are defined as shown. A, describe the event, not A, in words. Haven't done that yet, just describing it in words, and determine the number of outcomes that constitute event not A. So first in words, not A. Well, what is A first? The event that the finals are decided in 5 games. So event not A would be the event that finals are determined in how many games? 4 or? Yeah. Four, 6, or 7 games. Add them all up? 87, that's correct.
Good job, Abby.
They're adding up 22, 30, and 50, 35. I think that's a lot. Last one, describe in words. A and B. A being the event, finals are decided in 5 games, that's just this one right here. B, the event that the finals are decided in less than 6, that would be just these 2 right here, right? What's the only one that's in the overlap zone? This one right here. To describe the event, A and B is the event. The finals are decided in what? In 5 games, right? It's the only one that's in both. And there are 24 in that event. This concludes our notes in lesson 4.2. Don't forget to like and subscribe.